Hi, and welcome to another episode of Hot Takes with me, the Silver Fox, and this is the last of the long-form videos of the day, so we'll have a little bit of fun. We'll look back, because it has been a year since Nicola Sturgeon went, and John Curtice, Professor Sir John Curtice, to give him his full title, has been sort of looking at numbers and crunching them, and he's come up with something that will surprise nobody, but it is just nice to have it confirmed by an expert. And that is that since he took over the party back in, March, but since she left as leader back in February, Humza Yousaf has proved to be not as popular as Nicola Sturgeon. And not as popular means not as popular with the people, not as popular with his own party supporters, not even as popular with the people in Holyrood, many of whom now look at him and see a man who's destined to destroy the party, who's failing them, who's going to cost them jobs, and who really and obviously doesn't have a clue what he's doing or the direction in which he's trying to take the party. It's not boding well for him in the interim, and it's damaging Scotland until we can get a change of government. But however, the longer he stays there, the more likely it is that the SNP will be utterly demolished. So, he's doing a good service in the long run. Just in the short run, it's damaging. But let's take a look at what Sir John was saying. Here goes. Now, as I say, it is the last long-form video of the day, so it'd be very, very helpful for you to hit that subscribe button. It's my last chance to ask. We need to widen the appeal. We need to get the news and the message out there. And by you hitting that subscribe button, that absolutely, hugely, massively helps the channel, because we are put down in the algorithm, but your lift puts us out wider, and it is something that we are always appreciative of. Anyway, Humza Yousaf is still trailing Nicola Sturgeon in popularity 1 year since her resignation, and I suspect it's going to get worse, and as time goes on it's going to sink lower and lower and lower. There will be no inflection point. It's not as though there's going to come a point and you're going to get the dead cat bounce or anything. He's just going to crash and burn. And even more so if he even lasts to the general election, which is not guaranteed. Professor John Curtice told the Record the new SNP leader just isn't as popular as his predecessor in Bute House. He's not as popular as anything. He's. I mean, there was a poll, and I think it was about a month ago, just before Christmas, I think, or just after Christmas, whenever it was, maybe 6 weeks ago, and it was said that who do you think should be, who would make the best leader of the SNP? And Alex Salmond, who's not even a member of the SNP now, came ahead of Humza Yousaf. That's how bad Humza Yousaf has fallen. Anyway, Humza Yousaf is still trailing Nicola Sturgeon in the popularity stakes 1 year on since she announced her intention to resign, the country's top pollster has said. Professor John Curtice told the Record the new SNP leader just isn't as popular as his predecessor in Bute House. Now remember, this is a woman who has been mired in corruption, who is a liar, who is someone with potentially 4,500 murders on her hands, allegedly. And she's still more popular than Humza Yousaf. How bad does he have to be? What does he have to do? What does Sturgeon have to do to become less popular than Humza Yousaf? Sturgeon shocked the political world on February the 15th last year when she announced she would resign as First Minister, triggering the first open SNP leadership contest in almost 20 years. But Curtice blamed the subsequent chaotic race to replace her for causing a serious dent in the nationalist popularity. He's got a face there, and I always say it, but it's a perfect one, isn't it? There's a sad, sad man. He's seen the polls. He's about to drop into a set of tears, and he's about to cry. He looks really upset. He knows he's finished. And he knows he's not finished out there in the great big wide world. He knows he's finished in Holyrood. People in Holyrood are calling for it now. The Strathclyde University academic said the SNP is still narrowly ahead of Labour in the opinion polls, and they've certainly not lost anything like the kind of ground the Conservatives have lost since the 2019 across the UK. Yeah, I mean, the Conservatives are just going to crash and burn, as we know. But he said, that said, he said, it's worth keeping in mind that before Nicola Sturgeon resigned, the SNP was still running at 43% on average in the opinion polls. And now the figure is down to 35 or 36%, which goes to show you there was an awful lot of cult of Nicola about the place. Very much cult of Adolf. Most of the decline occurred during the leadership contest itself, he said, and it helped expose and exacerbate the divisions inside the SNP, and the electorate have reacted accordingly. Well, they've all seen the weaknesses of all the candidates. So whoever rose to the top and became leader was doing so, but with having all the weaknesses exposed. He said her successor just isn't as popular as she was. He's not had much success so far in improving his popularity. Well, he's lost every court battle. He's lost every vote. He's achieved nothing. Everything he does fails. Everything he says is proved to be wrong. He's never once, ever got anything right. His own personal record is coming back to haunt him. And now all the corruption and awfulness of the Sturgeon years is being laid bare, and the cancerous tendrils of the SNP are being exposed and shown to the sunlight, and people are recoiling in horror from it. The leadership contest saw Yousaf and Kate Forbes, the former finance secretary, trading blows in a series of increasingly bitter televised debates. And the race also saw long-serving SNP chief executive Peter Murrell resign after lying over party numbers. Who'd have thought that? Old Peter Murrell, lying. Mr. Accuracy, Mr. Integrity. Anyway, any honeymoon period for the new leader was swiftly curtailed when Police Scotland escalated the investigation into the SNP finances when it carried out a search of the Glasgow home belonging to Sturgeon and Murrell. And then they're going through all that, which I'm not going to bother. Asked if Sturgeon making a shock return as leader was boost the SNP's popularity, Curtice said, that's a good question. He says, but there are two obstacles. Does she still have enough appetite and energy for the job? And given what she went through the pandemic, the answer to that is probably no. He said, and the second is, since the resignation and the question of the SNP's finances has been exposed, and it was her arrest that saw a further decline in SNP support. He said, and until that is removed, that cloud is removed. He said, it would be very difficult for her to come back as leader. Do you know who is currently among the top 3 favourites to replace Rishi Sunak as the leader of the Tories? Yes, you've guessed right. I'm not going to say, because you've probably guessed right. 9 times out of 10, you're going to have a picture in your head, and that'll probably be the person. Let me know who you think it is in the comments. Sturgeon will never lead the SNP again, though. She's done. She's finished. She's a busted flush. And, of course, it's very hard to lead a political party when you're sitting in a jail cell. Anyway, I shall finish there. Thank you very much for today. Thank you very much for all the views. You're all marvellous. If you have subscribed, I thank you dearly. If you are about to subscribe, I thank you even more. And if you are ever considering subscribing, then I would wish that you do so and make sure that you can help the channel spread and that you can keep up with all the latest tomfoolery and buffoonery that comes out of Holyrood. Wishing you a very good evening. I will come up and I will finish this video. Actually, there is another thing, and that is about the popularity of Humza Yousaf. And I'm saying he wasn't as popular despite all the awful things that Sturgeon has done. I did see, it was only a little thing I saw, and it was only like an attachment to something else. It wasn't in itself worth a story or anything, but it was done that there was a poll taken at about a week after Christmas, something like that, not just early in the new year, and it said, do you wish, and it was with SNP supporters, do you wish you'd voted otherwise in the election? And most of them said yes. Now, they didn't state whether they would have voted for Ash Regan or Kate Forbes, probably Kate, but a lot of them wished they'd voted elsewhere, which means I think if there was another election for leader, he'd be done. He'd be out like that. Anyway, thank you very much. Like I say, do please hit that subscribe button. Definitely press the like button. Let's help this video. And until tomorrow, unless I do a flash video later, have a great evening, and I wish you all the best. And I'll see you all tomorrow for Friday, which is always a good one. We like to have a bit of fun on a Friday. So cheers and goodbye.